AV Rant and SVS have teamed up to bring you an unbelievable opportunity. Have you been dreaming of dual subwoofers? Perhaps you'd like to upgrade your entire 5.1 speaker package. Don't have the cash? AV Rant and SVS have your back. Go to www.avrant.com right now for your chance to win your choice of dual PB1000 subwoofers or a Prime 5.1 satellite speaker package. Contest ends September 30th. Don't wait. Open to the residents of the United States and Canada. We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AV Rant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AV Rant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Matt. A couple of shows ago, we discussed reference volume in the context of Odyssey, dynamic EQ reference level offsets. He has some more general questions about the topic. Is reference volume simply the level a source material was mixed at? Well, no. I mean, it's a standard. It's supposed to be.
It's a movie standard, because some of his questions coming up are about music, and reference volume, when we're talking capitalized reference volume, is a movie industry standard. So that's the...
Which is what? It's like 85
right, well,
sustained?
Yeah, the official way to say it is that DBFS, DV full decibel full scale under reference volume, is in any of the speaker channels 105 dB. In the dedicated low frequency effects channel, the LFE channel, it is 115 dB.
Right.
That is the maximum loudness. That is DBFS in reference volume. And then the average sound level measured in A weighting is supposed to be negative 30 dBFS. So the average sound level in any of the speaker channels is supposed to be 85 dB. That doesn't mean sounds can't be quieter than 85 dB. They certainly can. It's saying over the course of the movie, the average sound level when measured with A weighting should be about negative 30 dB full scale, and dB full scale is 105. So that's officially reference volume.
So he asked in the second question, is it a set decibel level or can it vary? Well, and this is where we get into it, okay? What Rob just said is what it is.
Right.
Did the movie you buy actually was it actually mixed this way?
For most home
Maybe?
releases, probably not.
I mean, it could be, could not be. I'll tell you what. This is not a question you need to ask because you know the answer. The answer is you've got some movies that are quieter than other movies. You know this. You know that so there's some movies that you cannot watch at a certain volume because they're too loud, and you have other movies that you have to turn up 10, 15 dB past whatever you watch that one movie at because of how it was mixed. You know this. So it is a reference. Yes. It is a reference for the movie theaters. Yes. Those are, I'm sure, all mixed to this reference volume because they need to be because they're not messing around with the volume every movie that comes out. They set it and forget it. That's it.
And
it
these
has
days,
to be that level.
Since there are so few THX certified theaters anymore, about the only place you're probably hearing full reference volume is IMAX. Because almost all other commercial movie theaters play things quieter because most audience members requested that movie theaters do so. A lot of places got complaints that movies are way too loud when they're played at full reference volume. So about the only place you're probably going to hear it these days is an IMAX theater.
That's right.
And that's loud.
So, and you know how loud that is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've ever been to IMAX, you know you're like, whoa. I mean, I feel the same way. I'm like, wow, that's really loud.
Yeah.
And I love loud.
Yeah.
But it is really loud.
Loud.
I take into account how long the movie is
Yeah.
if I'm going to go see an IMAX.
Yeah.
I'm like, is it going to be a 3-hour movie? Because if it's going to I don't want to see a 3-hour movie in IMAX. I mean, it's too loud. It is. You get a headache by the end. Next, and this is where this question sort of veers off of what we're talking about here. He says that, let's say he has the same song on CD and MP3 and it plays it through two different sources, a CD player and an iPod. At negative 15 dB on the volume knob, the song is audibly at a different volume level between the two sources, so that leads him to believe that 0 dB, at 0 dB, it wouldn't be the same volume either. Is this correct? Yes, it is correct. Should
Yes.
be.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Now.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. If he had dynamic EQ activated,
Yes.
now
That would only boost the bass, really, though. I mean,
yeah, and turning it down 15 dB should still boost either of them because it's just saying, hey,
Yeah.
you're playing this 15 dB
it's not going to make the
below.
overall
The
volume.
overall volume, yeah, is
Not to me.
and when you're talking about you have the CD version, then when he says the MP3, I don't know if I doubt he means he just converted it to MP3. I'm thinking
I think he's talking
bought it
about
from Amazon or
iTunes.
something, right? It was mastered differently. It was mastered at a different
Absolutely.
volume level. So yeah,
That's right. Yeah, completely different. And I would imagine the MP3 version is louder. I would guess. That would
it could
my
be.
guess.
CDs are full scale practically all the time. So
He asks, is having the original source, CD, Blu-ray, whatever the original is, necessary to achieve reference volume at 0 dB? Well, again, we're not talking about the same thing, and we're not talking about movies anymore. So no, music is mixed completely differently.
Yeah.
And I've got albums that are super duper quiet, and I've got albums that are super duper loud. So it just kind of depends on who mixed it and
Yep.
what they wanted to do. So there is no reference there.
not for music.
So-
no.
No, not for music. So he's asked now. His new Sierra 1s are not as efficient as his old speakers, so on every source the volume dial is about 3 dB or so higher than it used to be set at. So again, that leads him to believe that 0 dB on the volume dial, the Sierra 1s will not be as loud as his old speakers. Should this have been accounted for by the level matching during setup? Maybe it was, but he's just playing them louder because they sound better. And so he doesn't have an SPL meter, so he's judging all of this by ear. Well, honestly, all of this by ear doesn't bother me. That's when we're talking about this music stuff, because
Right.
these are changes that are clearly audible. This is not something that you need to measure in order to convince me that you're hearing a difference. I know this. But when you're level matching, when you're let's say I'm assuming he's using a receiver. If his receiver is level matching his or sending the volume for his speakers, 0 dB should be the same loudness for his Sierra 1s versus his other speakers.
Yeah, if
Should
you
be
use
the
the
same
automated
loud.
setup program, I don't know if he has Odyssey or YPow or
Right.
MCACC. I'm not
No
sure.
matter what it is,
Whatever it is,
they
though.
should all be able to set the dial correctly,
Yeah.
or the volume correctly.
Like, this is entirely possible that the Sierra 1s are just 3 decibels less efficient than his old speakers, in which case, like, let's say his old speakers, just for the sake of argument, the trim levels on all of them were 0. That's just what the auto setup did. Now, with his Sierra 1s, the trim levels should all be set at +3. And that's exactly what it's for. It's to account for different speakers have different efficiencies, or they're farther away from you, and therefore quieter. And so the idea is that the trim levels should be set by the auto setup program. So yes, that should have all been evened out. However, what he says about the Sierra 1s maybe just sounding better, I know for a fact that if you had crappier speakers before, that one of the things that makes the Sierra series speakers so good is that they have very little residual sound. They have very little sound that continues on past the time when the signal said, stop making sound. They pretty much stop on a dime like they're supposed to. They don't keep playing or have much distortion to them. That, to our ear, can definitely sound quieter. The actual measured SPL can be the same, but our brain interprets distortion and echo as louder. We just assume that if we hear a slight residual sound or more distortion, that the thing must be louder. Our brain fills that in for us. So it's entirely possible that the actual measured SPL is the same, but your brain is just going, you can turn that up another 3 dB and I still like it. So that is
and
possible.
Assuming that he's used his receiver or whatever this to level match his speakers and that sort of thing, I absolutely believe that that's exactly what's going. Distortion is not your friend when it comes to volume. The minute you start to distort, you will turn it down.
Yep.
No matter what volume it is,
Yep.
you will reach for the volume knob and turn it down.
Yeah, like if you hear clipping at 75 dB, your brain will just be like, oh my god. It'll be
That
like
is awful.
that is crazy loud, even though measured wise it's still only 75
same.
dB. You play a clean sound at 95 dB and your brain's like, all right, that's loud, but it's nice. So
Yeah. And I think that's what's happening here. I
could
think
be.
he's able to turn these speakers up louder
Mhm.
and is associating that with them somehow being quieter. But at 0 dB, both of you, well, maybe not your other speakers. Let's say at whatever dB it is that they're not distorting, they will be the same loud. They might not sound the same to you, and one might sound quieter than the other, but objectively, measurably, they are the same loud. And that's why you're hearing this difference. Now, as far as the rest of it, I think that we've kind of addressed all the rest of it. But and this is really a good thing. Frankly, this is a good thing. This is what you want. You want to be able to turn your speaker up to the desired level and not have to turn it down because they're distorting. That's why we like good headphones. That's why we like good speakers. That's why we like good subs. We don't want things that make bad noises that make us not enjoy what we're listening to. And the Sierra ones certainly are capable of doing exactly what they need to do and no more. Let's move on. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AV Rant.
Now go out and listen to something.